I mean, it's got nice stats. It does have nice stats for the evoker, to be fair. So if you didn't know what I was referring to, I was referring to getting, I think it's from Diana? Yeah, Carnal X. So it's unfortunate that we didn't get that. I was hoping we were going to get a 411 version of that from obviously the heroic weekly, but we didn't. We got this, but it's actually very nice stats. Like, I won't be replacing that for a very long time. Did I just see it was 418 as well? Okay, we really cannot complain with that. It would also be nice to obviously have the fire ring from Erenog, the first boss, but that's an easier boss to pug, so we can go and do that. But I'm going to log off for now. I just wanted to do this reaction live. Let's equip that as well. So now we're up to 323. So that was a huge upgrade as well. Look at this mastery percentage. So yeah, I'll log off for now. And next time we log back in to do some more dungeons, I have a 7 knocker defensive from the last Court of Stars, I think it was, that we did. So yeah, we'll be getting that going in the next episode, or maybe even this episode, depending on how I edit this footage. So as you can see, I ended up having to lower this key down from a +7 to a +5. It was quite late when I was recording these keys that I'm doing here, so apparently not many people were interested in a +7 knockout, and I cannot possibly think why. Sounds like a more than ideal end to a night for me. But we form our group and head over into the first trash pack to test out our new ring. At this point, I feel like I'm getting to grips a lot better with the rotation, so we actually fire off some nice damage here. Considering I'm still 314, I'm pretty chuffed with this. We then do a scary double pull with the patrol. In higher keys, you'll definitely want to pull these separately, unless you're going to lust it, of course. I definitely could have here to make this pack a lot easier, but on a +5, I didn't feel it was that necessary. I also let a disruptive shout go through that ended up killing me, so that's 2 things that I could have personally played better in this pack. Turns out I am actually the problem. Because I'm still having to consciously think about every button I press to do damage, I'm really struggling using my CC or utility, but that is something that will come with time. I would recommend you guys to try and master your utility first, because the damage will always come later with gear, but my ego couldn't possibly let me do that. On to Granith then, a very simple boss as long as you have the damage for it. We did cut it close a few times with letting the ad close in on the catapults, but we managed to finish them off, and then our pally friend fired at the dragon to stun him. I don't actually know if it's generally looked at as a healer's job, but I feel like healers are probably one of the better roles in your group to go and use it, just so that us DPS don't lose any uptime. Granith goes down and we fly over to the storm area. These packs are especially scary on Fortified. I'm really just not a fan of this area in general. I get storm bolted to death here with my kickoff cooldown, my bad again, though I'm not sure it would have actually saved me as I ate a few and I have like 3 health points. I fly back over and they've decided to pull the Kodo pack into the mix now too. I really wouldn't recommend doing this. There's enough kicks and damage going out in these packs as it is, but we just about survive. It's pretty much the same story for the next pack too. I get taken out during my deep breath. I really wasn't having a good time in here. Storm Boss, the famous pug killer. Not too bad on Fort Weeks, but still one of the harder challenges in this dungeon. Spread out with the bombs, pick up the orbs if you can handle the damage, and always use a defensive for the electrical storm. Sounds easy enough, right? But it pumps out an unearthly amount of damage, so in the higher keys I'll go over more specifics on how to actually live. Some MDI levels of burst in this pack here from the 314 Giga Chad Evoker. Nothing really to report back from these packs, just make sure to collect your soul and kick the swift wind from the burbs. Trying to time your puzzle box cast for pug tanks pulling is harder than solving the puzzle itself. Another scary boss here though. On lower or fortified keys you can stack up with 1 or 2 of your friends for the Gale Arrow, but I'd always recommend popping a defensive for it. This will make dodging the swirlies much easier, but for the cost of more upfront damage. Other than that, just cleave them down as they do share a health pool, dodge the Earth Splitter which comes out quicker than you think, and kick the Guardian Wind. I didn't, but do as I say and not as I do. After we get the boss down, I realise we don't have enough percent. Some TikToker that gives very helpful M+ tips called Vesperal TV, I think, told me you need 94.5% enemy forces before you fly to the last zone and kill the last 2 mini-bosses. But the tank ignores me and full sends to the last boss area. And would you look at that? Vesperal TV, the TikToker, was right. You can also find these amazing and useful M+ tips on my YouTube short, so be sure to check that out. Oh, and like and subscribe while you're at it. The last boss in Knockard then. Ideally, you'd probably save Lust for the intermission, as that's the only really scary part of this fight, but in Pugs you can expect that they'll send it on pull. I saved my CDs for this phase as it's pretty much the only phase that matters. Use all the CC you can here to interrupt the Stormbolt casts. They will one-shot you on higher keys and nuke them down ASAP. Back into phase 3 then. Balakar turns Thor mode and electrocutes everything. If you get the static spear, pop a defensive and aim it at either a wall or there is a rock you can actually use that he will just charge into and not do any damage. After he throws the spear, he charges pretty much instantly in that direction, so be sure to jump out of the way. We +2'd this key, which is unfortunate because that means the +7 that it originally was would have been pretty free as well. But we did get a +7 Shadow Moon Burial Grounds, which should be free, surely. So we start off with the normal 3 pull at the start here, and honestly, to this day, I still have no clue what killed me here. I've timed 22s on my hunter in here, but Shadow Word Frailty? Never heard of it. Did my Holy Priest sabotage me? Or is there some unknown mechanic here? I was the only one to get this debuff, and it sounds like it's a buff you could potentially dispel from a mob. I honestly have no idea, but let me know please and thanks. Next, everybody's favourite pull, the Spiderlings. Let's all pull our massive offensive cooldowns and blow them on these smallies that literally don't even matter. But hey, it looks great on details, right? First boss, Blood Fury. Kill the ad when it spawns. On Tyrannical, you may even need to pull a small CD to kill it on higher keys. Try to bait the daggers away from the runes, but don't worry too much because a lot of people don't actually know this. But you can actually stand pretty much anywhere around the middle ring that gives you the Lunar Purity debuff. Thanks again, TikToker Vesperal TV. Other than that, nuke down the boss and use defensives for Whispers in the Dark. Now this is where the dungeon starts to get interesting. One of the harder packs in this dungeon, and it really doesn't help when your evoker doesn't kick either. I get charmed and killed by the warrior, and then I make it back to the sight of some big holy angel wings in the distance. Never a good sign. With some lovely off heals from your boy, we do manage to survive this pack, and then we wait for the guys to catch up. Out the corner of my eye, I do notice that the priest and palace seem to have taken some damage, but I don't know, maybe they took some full damage or something. They finally arrive and run straight through the runes to spawn some death blasters that we carefully and purposely stepped around. But I suppose we'll let them off if that's the worst of it. We pull Nalish and start DPSing him down, a pretty standard boss with not too many difficult mechanics. Wait, what? When did they add this mechanic? A void spawn literally spawns out of the void, and now it all starts to make sense. The fact that the priest and paladin didn't say anything to warn us is honestly the funniest part of this. They couldn't face the shame of telling us we'd need to kill it before the boss, so they just let it jump scare us in the middle of it and potentially cause us to wipe. We get sent to the Shadow Realm and my soul almost takes me out because I'm doing so little damage I'm pretty sure I'm actually healing the mob. I retake my soul and prepare myself for a void pulse to the face as I phase back in. But wait, where's the void spawn gone? I frantically pan my camera around to avoid another jump scare, but it looks like it just despawned because we all went into the Shadow Realm. I don't know, maybe they just don't get on with Nalish, but thank God. More fun Spiderling packs. Everyone's always rushing down this ramp like they're Usain Bolt, so we can all charge up our pad before the tank pulls. Almost 300k burst though at Shadowlands item level. This spec is going to be disgusting when I actually have gear, let me tell ya. Next, the longest boss in the world, Bone Maw. Not only literally because it's a worm, but this boss feels like it takes 5 minutes to kill on a +2. The body slam animations are all janky, many affixes don't mix well with the inhale mechanic, and I always forget to bait the puddles in melee for our melee friends. I'm really not a fan of this fight, it really seems like they forgot affixes existed. When I'm recording this, it's Volcanic Week and they can spawn in the puddles which knocks you up and then you get inhaled. Real fun. I'm really not sure how I'm going to tackle these pair of void spawns in higher keys. On the hunter, I can pretty much just LOS every single void pulse around the shrines on the side of the room, but I ain't got the facilities for that on the evoker. I've only got 25-yard range and a dream to survive. Granted, that is a big dream. But I guess at some point we just blow all our defensives here on high keys and close our eyes, but we'll have to see. Also, it's never a good look when you get a Resurrect Players achievement either. Last boss then of possibly the freest dungeon in Dragonflight at the moment. Ranged, bait the Omen of Death cast far away, dodge the Malevolence, nuke down the wall and run through the middle of it. Simple. Or at least I thought. First pull, everything is going well until the first wall. Apparently this tank really likes the colour purple and is like a moth to a flame. Both the healer and the tank get the heavy dot and tick out pretty quickly. I tell the paladin to CR, I always forget they have one now and apparently so does he, as he has about 3 years to do it while the Malevolence cast goes out, and then we could pretend like nothing happened. I guess he just couldn't find it in his spellbook quick enough. Quick then, let's wipe it up while we still have time. On our scenic walk back, I explain the mechanic to our friends so that they can execute it perfectly and we can finish the dungeon. The healer tries to blame explosives, but little does he know we caught him in 4K. Round 2. Fight! I mark myself so they can pixel for pixel walk on me. Spoilers, they don't. First wall, tank runs straight through it again and falls over. Never trust the Volpira, noted. Paladin, it's your chance to shine. Please resurrect our fallen friend in combat, my dude. I have no idea what the name of the spell is, but please just do it. Negative, wipe, and go again. We give some words of encouragement to our tank for the third pull. This time, I believe. First wall, completed it, mate. The boss is getting chunked and we have Lust coming up. But wait, another wall. Come on, Murphox champ. This is your time. Wait, Vespoka? What on earth is he doing? Allow it, people. Your boy is still attempting to get used to the hover mechanic. I thought I pressed it while not holding any movement keys to jump on the spot so that I could cast on the move, but boy was I wrong. Apparently I was holding W, so when I pressed hover it yeeted me through the big bad spooky purple wall, and now I'm the idiot. The boys carry me across the finish line and we complete our first +7 of the series. We loot some nice braces too. Not the best stats as we ideally want mastery, but we'll take what we're given at this point. A nice 80 eye level upgrade, we take those. We're also now up to 368 score, so we only have 2,132 points left to acquire. Should be easy enough. After getting ahead of myself completely to rush the weekly quest, I now decide it's time to take on the world boss. More bracers? Yuck. Still another upgrade on the eye level though. It's just typical that we get back-to-back upgrades on the bracers when I'm still rocking a 200 eye level chest. We go and take some photos of wildlife and get rewarded with a 350 helm. Only a 131 eye level upgrade on that unfortunately, but I guess that'll do. Before I zoomed off to the next world quest, I noticed I was in a grand hunt and it was almost done, so we completed that for a chance at some gear, but we could never be so lucky. Back to the Cobalt Assembly. If you guys have done any leveling recently before the nerf to this place, I'm sure you're pretty familiar with it. But we're doing this to loot a 369 weapon that will pair very nicely with our Vectimus offhand. A huge boost up to 347 item level from these easy pieces we managed to get our hands on, and now I think we're ready to step foot in a +8 Temple of the Jade Serpent. But not before we buy up some quick off pieces from the auction house to get one last boost of eye level. As you can see in the bottom right, I'm only using gold this character has acquired from questing and leveling itself, as I didn't want to send any over from my main, so we buy up a few cheap pieces and now we're 355 eye level. We're getting there. It's actually crazy how fast you can gain eye levels now. I remember on my first ult, my druid, I went from 360 to 400 eye level in a day with 3 set equipped, so please don't get put off gearing new characters as it is really fast if you do the right content, and obviously get a little bit lucky. Starting with a temple then, I pretty much instantly died to an explosive going off, and then I believe a few splashes finished me. I am questioning if I'm equipped enough for this +8, but we continue forward. Wise Marie is another one of those bosses I just cannot seem to play well on. This boss is honestly the scariest boss for me in the game, and I don't know why. It's pretty simple mechanic wise, just take out the vortex and drop it away from the middle rings. I'd always use the defensive for that on higher keys, then you just kick Hydrolance when you can and dodge wash away. Sounds easy, right? Now that I have practiced this boss a fair few times, I'm starting to slowly get the hang of it, but the wash away combo mixed with the water spouts panics me every single time. A tip I have given myself is as soon as I see the wash away cast, you want to run across the water directly behind Marie. This is because the first spout doesn't come instantly, so you can quickly dash across and get in position. I also have this really handy weak aura that I just tunnel vision on completely. Every time it hits white, a spout shoots up, so just don't be stood in the water at that time. Here I took out to the torch debuff these pandas throw out on you, but in higher keys you're definitely going to want to skip these mobs. Second boss, again relatively simple. I think the general consensus is to start on the left boss and swap every time at 6 or 7 stacks. You can use some AoE abilities here depending on your class that don't actually add up stacks on both of the bosses. For example, I can Starfall on my Balanced Druid and I can Beast Cleave on my BM Hunter. Just some extra free damage that doesn't detriment your group in any way, so I'd recommend figuring out if your class has any. Around the middle ring, the main kicks you want to look out for are Defiling Mist and Haunting Scream. Save kicks for these and use the defensive if you get the purpley blue circle on you and your group doesn't have a curse dispel. On higher keys, you'll also want to use the defensive when the small shards die, especially on raging weeks. Third boss, again another simple boss. Most of the bosses are simple in here, they just do a lot of damage. This one in particular is a tank check, so if you can help your tank then make sure to do so in this fight. I know some tanks even like saving Lust for the second phase of this boss, especially on Tyrannical as it does bloody slap. We take out the last room, which is a very scary room. Unique kicks on Hydrolance, Tidal Burst, Defiling Mist, Haunting Screams, and remember to use stuns or other forms of CC if you can't kick. And again, use defensives when the baby shards die and also if you get the blue circle. And then after we've done this insanely hard trash, surely we're repaid with a nice easy boss, right? Wrong. One of the harder bosses in the game. Use the defensive if you get the circle on you. Your healer will be dispelling these as soon as they can. Healers, if your group has a hunter, please dispel them first, TY. Then stack up to spawn the ads and use CC to stun them while you nuke them all down. GG, go next.